All right. Welcome. This is our session together on how to win at your craft. Do I know all there is to know about how to win at your craft? I might not say so. What I will share with you today is a mix of what has worked for me, what has worked for the people that I have worked with, and what I've learned from people that I've studied or watched in as part of what I do. Now, if you're here watching this video live, that inspires me because you have something in mind, your craft, that you want to get better at, that you want to win at. Do I claim to know everything there is about the subject? Absolutely not. Will I share in this video today everything that is there to know about this subject? Absolutely not. What I will do is I will share with you my some of the best insights that I have around this. And of course, what I will also do, if you have any questions as we're going through this, put those questions in chat and we will take them either right now or later on as the time comes. But I'll be happy to answer each and every question that you have. As we get into the depth of this, if you know a friend whom this might help, just one friend, share this link with them, have them join live because I might share something today that will serve them in their journey of winning at whatever they're doing, winning at their craft. I want to start with the story of Valentina Tereshkova. Have you heard of the name Valentina Tereshkova? Anybody have you heard of that name? What does it sound like from the name? Where might she, so I've revealed the gender, where might Valentina be from? Valentina Tereshkova. Valentina Tereshkova was the world's first female astronaut from the USSR. She was selected. There were 400 people who had applied to go on a mission. Valentina Tereshkova was the person selected to lead that mission. That mission was called the Vostok 6. So, Valentina Tereshkova, in a little capsule that's called the Vostok 6, is launched into space for a mission and she's getting her things done. And as the mission is towards completion, she now wants to come back on the planet. And as she's trying out different controls, she realizes there is some problem. And as she goes deeper to find out what that problem is, she understands that it is no minor problem. The problem was that the code which would allow the capsule, the landing mechanism, had not been feeded into that capsule. The landing mechanism had not been feeded into the capsule. That literally means that her capsule wasn't programmed to come back to Earth. If going into space wasn't scary enough, imagine being in space in a capsule that is not programmed to get home. And in 1963, that's exactly the situation that Valentina Tereshkova faced. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? I'll tell you in just a moment. But step into the shoes of Valentina Tereshkova for a moment. You're up there all alone by yourself in space in utter darkness in a capsule which has not been programmed to get back to Earth. What do? Valentina Tereshkova keeps her calm. She dials down to mission control on planet Earth, which is led by Sergei Korolev. Sergei Korolev and team live feed the instructions to Valentina Tereshkova. She feeds those instructions as code in the machine. The machine finally learns how to get back on the planet, and she lives to tell the tale. The reason I'm sharing this story with you is not just because it's inspirational that Valentina Tereshkova being the first woman astronaut went there, faced the challenge, came back. That's not the reason I'm sharing this story. It's one of the reasons. The key reason is the lesson here is you plan for success, you prepare for failure. Plan for success, prepare for failure. Why do I say that? I say that because this is the Vostok 6 mission. USSR back in 1963 was the top power in the world, the brightest brains on the planet working on this one problem of the space, of getting humans into space, of doing space missions. And despite this being the sixth mission and was some of the best brains on the world working on this, they still failed. Not something that was minor, but something as huge as not feeding the landing mechanism in the capsule. And so, when you are becoming better at your craft, what I want you to know is though you're planning for success, you have to prepare for failure. Don't let failure scare you. That's number one thing. Number two thing, when you get into endeavors, you want to look at the end. What will the end look like? What will my future look like? When Valentina Tereshkova was getting going into space, she probably imagined her future to look like she comes back to Earth all smiling after a great mission. Well, for a moment there, it seemed that that would not happen. You see, as you get deeper into your craft and you take up more and more complicated missions and you solve more and more complex problems, the probability of failure increases because you are now entering territories that a lot of people haven't explored as you're going deeper into your craft. And as you're going deeper into your craft, if it becomes too challenging for you to tolerate failure, that will be an impediment to your growth. That will be an impediment for you to become deeper at your craft. Hey, Amit, I see your message in chat. Thanks for joining. And if you have any questions, let me know. I read this beautiful quote by E.L. Dr. Rao. E.L. Dr. Rao says, life is like a night drive. You can see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Life is like a night drive. You can see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. You cannot see too far into the future. So if you are confused right now about whether you're talking about being great at our craft, I don't even know what is the craft that I want to be great at. Think about what is something that you enjoy at the moment, that's possible for you at the moment, something that can make you money in the moment, something that the world needs. What seems to be overlapping in these? What seems to be overlapping in two or three of these, if not all four of these? What you are passionate about, what you're good at, what you can make money from, and what the world needs. Where can that overlap be? And if you're not able to see too far into the future, that's exactly the right way to be, because that's true. You cannot see too far into the future. And if that becomes an impediment in doing what you're doing right now, that's going to be a hurdle in you becoming better at your craft. That's the first thing today. The first thing today is plan for success, prepare for failure. The second thing today was it's okay not to be able to see far into the future. Here's the third thing that I notice about people who are great at their craft. The third thing is this. When I was in working in my consulting firm, I there was this director who was a star director, right? And he had two promotions in a span of 18 months. At that stage in a consulting firm, two promotions typically take 5 to 6 years if you're good. This person got two promotions in 18 months, and I was thinking, how is this possible? What is this person doing differently? At his stage, at his level, almost everybody knows the technical stuff. Almost everybody is good at what they do. Why is this person who's a director got promoted twice when others did not? Hey, Ujjwal, nice to see you. And if you have any friends who this might benefit, share the link with them, and it, I hope it will be able to serve them as well. As if somebody heard my wish, I was put into the team of this super high performing director. And as you might imagine, my life was with him was becoming hell because he was extremely aggressive. He wanted things, he would send me things at night. He wanted things done tomorrow morning. this and that. So it was sort of super challenging working with him. And all the time I kept thinking, what might be, what something that separates him from everybody else. And one day I found the answer. We were at a client's office. This was 9:30 in the morning. We are sitting in the client's office. We are waiting, and then the clients walk in. This is the CFO and the COO of one of the biggest logistics company in India. And these people walk in. They sit down. Now, we've prepared this whole presentation, and I have prepared that whole presentation. So I have literally briefed this person about that presentation, literally in the cab on the way to this office, because he is handling multiple projects and multiple clients. So he does not have as much time to work on a project as I, as a consultant, had. The discussion did not begin on the project at all. The discussion did not begin on the presentation at all. The discussion began on what's going on in the world in logistics. And this person, for the first 15 minutes, he's talking to the client about, here's what's happening in Iran, here's what we're noticing in Southwest Africa, this is how it's different from Northeast Africa, this is the movement we're seeing in Southern America, this is how the freight rates have changed in Northern America to all the way across to China. In the first 15 minutes, talking about the industry and everything around it, we are not even talking about the client, we're not even talking about the project. The first 15 minutes, the discussion is completely something else, and the client is already sold. We don't need to sell the client so hard in the presentation because the client already knows that this person knows what he's supposed to know. I call this horizontal knowledge. Horizontal. Why do you call it horizontal knowledge? When you become an expert, when you want to become great at your craft, you are going deeper. That's vertical knowledge. You're going deeper. That's great. That's important. That's non-negotiable. But that's not it. What you also need is horizontal knowledge. Everything around what you're supposed to know. What you're supposed to know is vertical knowledge. Everything around, everything tangential to what you're supposed to know is horizontal knowledge. Oh, Mudit, do you mean general knowledge? No, I'm not saying general knowledge. This is horizontal knowledge, which is tangential, close to your industry. And one of the biggest reasons why this person became who he was and his counterparts did not get promoted, he got promoted twice in 18 months, his counterparts didn't get promoted once or twice in 5 years. The reason is horizontal knowledge. His counterparts, the other associate directors and directors, kept working on what's important in getting deep into their work, in getting deep into their field, but what's equally or more important at that level to differentiate you is building your horizontal knowledge. How do you build your horizontal knowledge? I don't have time to build horizontal knowledge. What are you talking about? I agree, you don't have time. What I want you to do is spend no more than 15 minutes, 5 minutes of your day. That's about 0.5% of your day. Sure. Somebody help me with the math. 15 minutes of your day in building horizontal knowledge. How do you do that? 3 ways. Number 1, read. In your industry, in your profession, in your skill, in your work, in your craft, is there a magazine? Is there a podcast? I'm saying read, but what I mean is consume. Is there a magazine, a news portal, a podcast, which allows you to get deeper into that stuff? Second is talk to people. You and I are used to talking to people who look like us and who talk like us and who are who we can more easily relate with. Talk to people who you are uncomfortable talking with. Talk to people who I was at a restaurant a couple of years ago at when I was on a vacation, and once we were done with a dinner buffet, I saw there was a waiter who was getting done with his shift, and so I started asking him questions about how do you plan for a buffet, how do you know how much to cook, and etc. etc. So he gave me in those 10 minutes very happily a whole rundown of how they make a meal plan so that as far as possible, the most little amount of food is wasted. Talk to people, ask questions, be curious. And third is travel. If you can, and it doesn't have to be an expensive travel to a different country, travel in your city, just outside your city, through a public transport. And that will allow you to see and consume and break your patterns in a way that expands your horizontal knowledge. That's the third thing. So we've discussed three things so far. Number one, plan for success, prepare for failure. Number two, it is okay not to be able to see too far into the future. Number three is horizontal knowledge, and that you spend 15 minutes to build your horizontal knowledge every single day. Number four is do not compromise. Do not compromise. You see, when you are going out there looking for what you want to do, becoming an expert at what you want to be, most people around you will tell you that this is not possible. It is either not possible, or it is not possible in that much time, or it is not possible for somebody like you, or it is not possible for somebody with your degree, or it is not possible with somebody from the place that you are from. That's the problem. That's the problem with people. And they will keep feeding this to you until you start believing that uh, if I'm not getting what I want, let me take something else, because anyway, it seems like I'm not going to make it. People's voices transform into becoming your own voice, and you don't even realize when. Here is my challenge to you: don't compromise. What do I mean by that? Here's what happens: you set a goal for yourself. This is what I want in life. And you're not able to hit that. It could be an exam, it could be a physical goal, how you want to see your body, it could be a hobby like playing an instrument, whatever it is. You set a goal for yourself. What happens more often than not? Do you exceed your goal? No. What happens more often than not is you miss your goal. Why do you miss your goal? Because you compromised on your effort. You compromise on your effort, and so you miss that goal. So what happens next time? You lower that goal. You lower that goal. You have moderated your expectations. And now you try to hit that goal and you compromise in that effort. And so you miss that goal. And what do you do next time? You lower your goal. Before you know it, before you realize, you enter into a cycle of compromise. And the reason you don't realize that is because most people who you have surrounded yourself with are either as good or even better at compromising than you are. If you have decided something for yourself, this is the standard of living that I want. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to win at. I love this person's lifestyle. Why can't I have that? Who's to stop me? Don't compromise on that. Now, you might not get it immediately. It might take time. Do not compromise on your effort, because most people would, and when you don't, that's the difference it makes. So, number four, do not compromise on your effort. Do not compromise on your goal. That's number four. Number five, if you want to win at your craft, you will have to win at getting other people what they need. Think of any successful person in the world. When I say the word successful person, a picture comes in your head. Freeze that picture for a moment. It could be an actor, a politician, it could be a family member, a friend, it could be a business person, whoever it is, freeze that picture. Think about this. What is a need other people have that this person is serving? What is a need other people have that this person is serving? It is my 100% guarantee that each one of you watching this will get the answer to that question immediately. Nobody here will say, I don't know what need that person serves. I think that person serves nobody's need. That person is still successful. That's not going to happen. Nobody got successful by not serving other people's needs. So when you go out there to win at your craft, whatever it is, you have to keep in mind the people who you are serving, the people who you're doing this for. Because when you will begin from them and not for you, when you will build that attitude of generosity, when it's going to be about them and not about you, that's when things begin to change for you. Because most people are thinking inside out. When you begin to think outside in, what do other people want and what I can do? That's when things begin to change for you. Now I'm going to shift gears from here in the next 10 minutes. But the 5 things that I've discussed so far: number one, plan for success, prepare for failure. Number two, it is okay not to be able to see so far into the future. Life is like a night drive. Number three, horizontal knowledge. Spend 15 minutes to build your horizontal knowledge. Number four, do not compromise on your goals or your efforts. Number five, be generous. Think outside in. What do other people need that I can serve, and not inside out? The people who are listening to this right now, how is this serving you? How is this landing on you? Paste in chat and let me know, because streaming is a lonely job. Video creation is a lonely job where feedback comes pretty late, and I'm talking about generosity, so I want to be sure that what I am presenting right now is relevant to you. So if you're watching it right now as a live version, or if you're watching this as a recorded version, open the comments and type what do you feel about this so far. What is your reflection? What is your pushback? What is a question you might have? As you go deeper into your craft, you will have all of these negative thoughts that often creep in. Is this the right place to be? Am I the right person to do it? I'm not able to do this very well. Look at that other person. That person seems to be much better than me. It's too late for me to have started this, etc., etc. All of these negative thoughts will crowd your head. It is almost impossible to not be having these negative thoughts. The difference between people who win at their craft and people who don't is the people who win at their craft are able to tame negative thoughts in a more effective fashion as compared to people who don't win at their craft. Let's talk about how this works. You may have done this experiment before. Priya, I see your question. I'll come to that very soon. You may have done this experiment before, but let me try it with you right now. I'll give you a challenge, and you have to, it's going to be a simple task. It's going to be a simple task, and you have to try to do that task right now. Okay. The task is this. Ready? Go. The task is this. Do not think about a pink elephant. Do not think about a pink elephant. Do not think about a pink elephant. So you see, when I'm saying this, you are already thinking about what? What's the only thing you can see? You can see a pink elephant. That's the thing with negative thoughts. When you think about, I don't want to think about XYZ, in that very moment when you say that in your head, you're still thinking about XYZ. Your negative thoughts will not go away when you say, I don't want to think that negative thought. You wake up in the morning sometimes and there's this weird song that's playing in your head. Washing powder, lemon, washing powder, lemon, some random stupid song and you can't get that song out of your head. You try, I don't want to play this song, I don't even like this song, that song's still playing in your head. I figured out a trick to get that song out of my head. I tune into a different song that I like, and I start listening to that song on repeat. And when I'm listening to that song on repeat, it replaces that other weird song that I do not want in my head. So the only way you can replace your negative thoughts is by thinking about what serves you. Think about a green elephant. This green elephant is wearing Nike shoes. This green elephant is wearing N95 mask. This green elephant is having wings because he drank Red Bull. Hold on, you're not thinking about the pink elephant anymore. But now you are thinking of the pink elephant because the pink elephant and the green elephant are together and they're flying because they've both had Red Bull. See, the point I'm trying to make is what is a thought that serves you? With the limited computing power that you have, do not keep ruminating on thoughts that do not serve you. How do I know, Mudit, which thought is important and which thought is negative? How do I know which thought I want to drive away, which thought I want to keep? How do I know which thought is a pink elephant and which thought is a green elephant? This is how you know. If you're thinking about a problem, ask yourself two questions. What is it here that I cannot control that I am trying to control? What is it here that I cannot control that I'm trying to control? What is it that I can control that I am doing nothing about? So, what are the two questions? What is it that I am trying to control that I cannot control? What is it that I can control that I'm doing nothing about? The first category of questions are the questions which are the pink elephant questions, the negative thoughts which are not serving you. Make a list of them, don't think about them because you can't control them. You're curious about them, but you can't do anything about them. The second category of questions, what is it that I can control that I'm doing nothing about, is what you need to be thinking about. And if you're afraid of something, if you're afraid to take up a challenge, if you're afraid to um, take that next step, you're not actually afraid. What you are is you are anxious. So, what's the difference between fear and anxiety? What's the difference between fear and anxiety? And Ujjwal, I read your question. It's about your exam, and you have this negative thought about how this exam was last year. It wasn't great. How do you get rid of this negative thought? Yeah, let me come to that. So, Ujjwal, what's happening for you is you are afraid that this exam is going to be difficult. Um, you are not going to do great in this exam, and that you will be sitting there trying to answer questions. You will not be able to answer questions. The results gonna be not that great. You're not gonna get the institute of your choice. You're gonna waste another year of your life. And so it's going to be a total of 2 or 3 years of your life that you wasted. And because you're not able to do this and you put something else to do this, basically your life's not going anywhere. You see where I'm going with this, Ujjwal? None of the stuff that I'm saying is fact. Something as small as not being able to answer a question in the exam suddenly becomes larger and larger. This is called as catastrophization, becomes so large that it seems beyond your reach. Ujjwal, if you are afraid of your exam right now, my challenge to you is that you're not really afraid. You're anxious about your exam right now. What's the difference between anxiety and fear? When you're walking through a forest, it suddenly becomes dark, you're all alone, you realize you've gone in too far and you have to get back home. You turn around, you're going towards your home, and you see the grass rustling on the side. You freeze. The grass is rustling. What could it be? That feeling is anxiety. From the grass emerges a lion's face staring at you in the eyes. What you feel then is fear. Sir, okay, but how does it help me? Anxiety or fear, and whatever you want to call it, same thing. It's not the same thing. Fear is manifestation of anxiety. You see, anxiety, Ujjwal, that you're facing right now is not such a bad emotion. It's your negative experience of the past. It's your fear of what might happen in this exam and its importance is what is driving you towards preparing harder for this exam. So, anxiety, if you're able to use it, is a positive emotion. I had anxiety before I came live here. If I didn't have anxiety, I wouldn't have made notes. I wouldn't be putting this energy. I wouldn't care about you. I was anxious. Every time I go on stage, every time I do what I do, before that I feel anxious. Anxiety is not such a bad emotion, Ujjwal. But at the same time, you need to know how to work on your anxiety, how to balance it, how to leverage it in a way that it serves you and not destroys you. And it is important for you to understand this because imagine there is a wild dog running behind you. You are running as fast as possible. This wild dog barking, wow, 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 and is running behind you. And I shout at you, Ujjwal. You say, yes, Ujjwal, what is 64 into 25? 64 into 25, Ujjwal. Will you be able to calculate? Probably not. Because your mind and all of its energy is focused on this little dog, on this dog is that is following you, that is running behind you, that wants to eat you. Your whole brain and in turn your body is in fight or flight mode. You're not able to make computations, you're not able to think logically, you're thinking about that dog running behind you. You see, when you're scared of an exam, when you catastrophize that exam in your head, you tell your brain is living here inside this dark skull. Your brain can't see anything. Your brain doesn't know that this exam is so important for your brain. This exam is another version of that dog that's running behind you. And so, if you let that anxiety catastrophize itself, your brain is focusing on the fear of that exam rather than the problem that you have at hand. And so, Ujjwal, what might work for you is take a deep breath. Say, I'm doing my best here, but here's the thing. There is no guarantee that everyone in the past who's given this exam and succeeded is successful. And there's no guarantee that everyone in the past who has missed on this exam is not successful. And so I will do my best in this exam, but if it does not go through, it does not go through. What I will focus on is what I can control, and that is doing my best. And when I do my best and it still doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. This was my deliberation for today, a quick revision of everything that we've discussed. How to win at your craft. Number one, plan for success, prepare for failure. As you take up more complicated experiments in life, it's going to become more and more probable for you to fail. So prepare for failure, learn to embrace failure, take it in your stride. Failure is bad, failure sucks. But failure is an experiment that teaches you something. The second is it's okay to be able to not see too far into the future. Kunal Singh, it's okay. You missed the stream. This will probably be available as a recorded version. Kunal, what are my opinions on that? We can take it separately. I do not want to bring that into this video because this is something I'm preparing to serve people like yourselves. Second is it is okay not to be able to see too far into the future. As E.L. Doctorow said, life is like a night drive. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. The third is as you go and deeper into your expertise, you build what is called as vertical knowledge. What you also need to invest 15 minutes is building horizontal knowledge. Horizontal knowledge is knowledge that is tangential. It is close, it is surrounding your key area of expertise. How can you build horizontal knowledge? One, consume content. Two, talk to people. And three, travel. Fourth is don't compromise. Don't compromise on the goal, on the standard of living, on the process, on what you've planned for yourself. And don't compromise on the effort that it takes to achieve that goal. You might fail in the short term, but in the long term, when you have your eyes set on that, there is a much higher probability that you'll be able to achieve it because you did not compromise. When you compromise on your goal and then your effort, and then your goal and then your effort, you move into this vicious cycle of compromise. That's number four or five. Number six, generosity. And this is for you, Priya. Generosity, think about the most successful person you know. This successful person is doing something that serves people. So when you want to win at your craft, when you want to go deeper into your expertise, see who needs the work that you're doing, who needs what you're great at. When you recognize that, work outside in, focus on what they need and work back and do that. Don't think about yourself or how I can be successful compromising those other people's needs. Because when you focus on their needs, that's when your craft really starts to shine through. It really starts to come through, and it really is purposeful. It's you're really playing the long game. Nitish, I read your comment. You read my book, Be Invincible. Now you're reading Don't Shut Up. I'm so glad, Nitish, and I'd love your feedback on how you find both of those books. So, Nitish, today what we covered, some of it is in Be Invincible, and in the last stream we covered some things that were there in Don't Shut Up. So you're trying to balance both of these. And by the way, if you need me to do this often, let me know in comments what are other topics you'd like me to speak on. You can reach out to me on Instagram or something and let me know in chat there as well. Next is negative thoughts will come. If you don't want to think about a pink elephant, you will still think about a pink elephant. So rather than thinking about negative thoughts, think about productive thoughts, think about resourceful thoughts, what can serve you in the moment when you are suffering from something. So when you're suffering from a problem, how to get out of the habit of escapism. Kunal, can you explain that a little more, what you mean by that, so that I can be contextual as I'm answering that? The next is when you are stuck in a problem where you don't know what's a negative thought and what's a productive thought, the two questions you can ask yourself is, what is something here that I cannot control that I'm trying to control? And the second question you ask is, what is something that I can control that I'm doing nothing about? Whatever comes in the first question category, that's a negative thought that's not serving you, try not to think about it. Think about what is it that I can control that I'm doing nothing about. If you are afraid about an upcoming event, something big in your life, it is not fear, it's anxiety. It is important to know which emotion is which, because anxiety is actually not such a bad emotion. Anxiety is your evolved response over millions of years, where your mind, your brain prepares you for something that's most important. So when you see the grass rustling in the forest, you suddenly become aware what might be behind, and your body becomes ready to run, right? um, so that is anxiety is a positive emotion. So if you're feeling anxious about an upcoming exam or an upcoming engagement or an upcoming proposal or an upcoming presentation, it is great because that anxiety is will be channeled into your energy where you can do more. Kunal, how do you escape from how do you get out of the habit of escapism? Escapism from studying by doing other activities like playing, internet, or smartphone. Kunal, there are two things here. Number one, what is your why? What is your purpose? If you have an exam tomorrow morning, you might probably not do these things today evening. If your longer goal and you look around yourself and you see that your family is not living the standard of living that they deserve, that you want your mom not to be suffering from that anytime else in the future, that becomes and adds to your why. That's a more purposeful level of answering your question. The second thing that I like to do, Kunal, and believe me, despite me sharing these, I'm as much a victim as you. If I download my Instagram app, sometimes I would go reels after reels after reels. I upload a video, I put on a tweet, I put something on LinkedIn. I keep refreshing the feed every 5 minutes to see how are people receiving it. And that is, and so I am, so that is escapism from the stuff that I need to do. So Kunal, what I do in that case is I make, for example, if my phone is the problem, I create a physical barrier between me and the things that are distracting me. So if it is the phone, what I literally do is I download Twitter and Instagram when I need to repost something for 5 minutes in the day, and then I literally delete those apps. So आप ये देखो, I'm showing you my app screen here. You see Twitter and Instagram are the last apps here. This is my primary home screen. See Twitter and Instagram are the last apps here because I just downloaded them like 10 minutes before I started the stream to post about the stream. And after the stream is done, I will like maybe post a link, etc. again, and I'm going to literally delete that. So because what happens is I don't plan to go, Kunal, on one of these things, and my fingers automatically know where to go, and suddenly now I'm sucked into that black hole, which suddenly my 2 minutes break becomes a 20 minutes break. So create a physical barrier between you and the things that distract you, Kunal. I think that would be my answer to you. Kunal Singh, I've been working for 1.7 years, but has been remote. I'm scared to go to office and not sure how to behave. Last few streams helped a lot to clear a few doubts. Kunal, I'm so glad. If there are more ways I can serve you, help you make this transition, which is challenging, easier, I'd love to do that. There are some tips in the book. Don't shut up. If you have the time, you can read that. If not, feel free to send me questions on Instagram or as a comment on these videos, and I'll be happy to help you as you are. And my best wishes as you go into the office. Team, friends, thank you for joining. That was all for today. What do you need next for me to talk to you about? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in chat. Send me a message on Instagram, whatever it is. And Kunal, thank you for your questions.